The galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of man. This is the Age of Darkness. Welcome to the Remembrancers retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat, a Warhammer 30k Horus Heresy podcast. My name is Jesse. I'm here today online with Steven.
Hello.
Will.
Hey.
And Jason.
How's it going, dudes?
So, in case this might be one of your first episodes, because this new edition of Horus Heresy just dropped and you might be looking for a podcast, hello and welcome. So today, we're talking about major changes to this new edition from the previous edition, and we're going to kind of discuss and get a feel for what we feel about the new changes. I'd like to give a shout out to the Flaymaster, who made a nice condensed core changes cheat sheet, basically doing all the work for me, because I'd been going through the rule book but hadn't been taking any notes, so I know I would forget about half the things.
Ooh, I know. I did the same thing. I would see something and be like, this is what I want to talk about, and then immediately forget to either say a note or take it down or anything like that. But you showed me this, and I was like, man, this...
Yeah. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and use this as my talking points. So once again, find them, the Flaymaster, over at Instagram.
The _ Flaymaster.
Is there a way we can attach?
Yeah, we can put a link up in the show notes.
I think that would be great in case somebody wants to look along and read along with us as we go through. So,
yeah, we'll wait.
Yeah.
Yep. Now take your time. Find the link. Click the link.
Find it.
You can pause it if you want to.
It's that blue link. It's the PDF.
Yeah.
That.
No, not that.
No, it's the other one.
Geez, no. Anyway. All right. So
Everybody got
their rules change PDF up.
I have my rules change PDF and my rule book.
God dang. Okay. Do you have the old edition rule book too?
No.
It's all the way across the room.
I threw it away already.
Sold it for $5 at the pawn shop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, what you should have done was hold on to it and sell it to people who want to keep playing 1.0 sight unseen.
Yeah.
They'll pay a fortune for it after everybody else throws theirs
just
away.
like all you guys who still play like Warhammer army parties or whatever it is.
Army's Project.
Army parties. Yeah, that's it. Warhammer army parties.
Hey, I did not show up to be attacked today.
That's tomorrow.
But you guys have your own rule set. You're fine. You're fine. Anyways, we're just going to take advantage of the people who want to stay in 1.0. But yeah, you guys want to jump into this?
Yeah, so let's take it from the top.
Yeah. In fact, actually, let's move into this, shall we?
Oh, see what you did there. So yeah, changes to the movement phase.
Running. Now done in the movement phase, and the unit's lowest initiative check is the movement value. We are no longer doing the Mighty 1, which for new players, you used to have to roll a d6, and there were quite often a 1 in 6 chance that you would just move 1 inch.
This is a high tier change. This is high up on the tier list for changes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially because you're going to find new players and old players alike as we move through this, and especially as we get more into depth. A lot of the randomness is gone out of this edition.
Yes. And I mean, while randomness is always neat, you want the randomness to simulate the randomness of battle. Sometimes I feel like there was just too much randomness. You kind of have some sort of like...
Yeah, the balance between tactics and randomness was a bit janky. And I feel like they've upped the tactical portion of a lot of these mechanics. And while there's still some randomness in some of the mechanics, this is a positive change. And that means that Space Marines can run freaking 11 inches.
Yeah, they're speedy super soldiers. They should be running.
Scary.
Is they did remove like so much of the randomness, like moving through terrain. Don't have to roll for that. It's just a flat -2. But they kept the randomness of charges where I think it really matters, and sorted out a bunch of the places where it just felt kind of superfluous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one thing before we move any further on, movement is now done, or running is now done in the movement phase.
Mm-hmm.
Big change, because you used to be able to, kind of be like, well, if you had a unit that you found out wasn't really in range, you would run in your shooting phase. So, you could kind of like move and then figure out, well, I might shoot, I might not. Now you have to decide all that in the movement phase.
Yeah. So I'm for the benefit of other people, if you run in the movement phase, can you now no longer shoot?
Yeah, let me check real quick. Movement phase running. Yeah, models on page 163 of the rulebook. Models can forego the chance to make a shooting attack in the turn's shooting phase in order to increase their maximum movement distance. A unit that runs may not make shooting attacks of any kind during the following shooting phase or declare charges during the assault phase of the same player turn.
Mm-hmm. And that makes running feel impactful. Like you said previously in first edition, if you ran with Space Marines, you could go 12 inches, but you might also go 7 inches. And now it's just a flat 11.
Yeah, there was
really booking it.
No worse feeling than, deciding, I'm not going to shoot these guys. I'm going to run, see if I can't get a little extra ground, and then just shuffle your models 1 inch. It felt so underwhelming and felt like just a waste of a turn.
Cautiously advancing.
Oh, yeah. Technically, it's a 1 in 6 chance, but it did not feel like a 1 in 6 chance.
Because it would always be that clutch moment when you're like, I really need to, make this at least 4-inch run. And then you're like, whap, whap, whap.
Yep.
Nope.
Enjoy walking 2 inches.
And it looks like Jared's on now, too. Hello, Jared.
Hey, guys.
Also, guys, a Pinot Grigio is a white. I thought it was a red. I don't know why.
Damn it, Will.
Okay, I bought a like a milk carton of wine.
It's a box wine.
Well, it is a milk carton of wine. If you know the muscle milk cartons, you know what I mean. And I really thought it was a red. What I'm thinking of Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir is red.
Yeah. But sorry. So yeah, running, very good change. I like it. Knowing you're going to get 11 inches, you don't feel like anything's wasted when you do. Or that was the other thing. Remember hardened armor?
Oh
You have
god.
to subtract a 1 from your run, so you could end up running not at all. Like 0 inches.
I can't tell you how many times I did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or Iron Hand, where you have to
Check with
first
your boss
pass a
before you can
leadership.
run.
Yeah, you have to first pass a leadership and then fail your run. So twice as yeah, it's terrible. So much better.
So, Jason touched on this. The moving through terrain now imposes a -2 to your movement and charges, but you do not have to roll dice anymore.
Thank God.
Oh,
Just
man.
a flat 2.
Again,
Forgetting the randomness of that, just imagine how much faster the movement phase is going to be now when you don't have to roll dice and,
it is very fast.
Yeah, just from having to, stood too close to the garden, better roll 2 dice.
Another nice thing now that Space Marines, for the most part, are base movement 7. So now going through terrain, you are moving 5 inches.
Yeah, that's such.
It's solid.
It is. It is. Now? I guess we can get down there lower, but is move through cover is still a rule, right?
It's called Pathfinder now.
Move through cover still is a special rule.
Okay,
Pathfinder is dangerous terrain. So a unit with at least 1 model with Pathfinder automatically passes dangerous terrain.
Oh.
And yet, if you have move through cover, you just ignore the -2 to movement and charges.
So good. Yeah.
Which again, even less dice rolling, because I think old move through cover was add an additional dice and take the higher one.
Roll 2 dice and take the higher. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, just please. Yeah. Shooting phase then. Look out, sir. Salvo weapons and go to ground are gone. So for new players, look out, sir. You used to be able to have your models like get down, Mr. President. Your characters.
Yep, because the way it worked was whatever model was closest in the unit that was getting shot at would have to make the saves. So if you have a special unit that you wanted to keep alive but was closest, you would make a lookout sir roll to have some of your grunts take the hits instead.
Mm-hmm.
But now in this new edition, where you just choose which model you want to tank the saves, it's no longer necessary.
Yeah, and characters can just either choose to take a wound or to pass it off on somebody else, so there's no need for the lookout, sir.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that in the continuing trend of streamlining the game, because Lookout Sir is gone, but Artificer Armor remains, you don't have, here's 10 wounds on that tactical unit. Okay, well, I'm going to roll them one at a time on my Artificer Armor Sergeant.
Okay, so wound allocation for infantry is not, for multi-wound infantry, it's not like vehicle squadrons where you have to keep applying hull points to the one that's damaged before you move on.
Unless they're characters.
Okay, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Characters can always choose to take a wound or to not.
Yep. Outside of precision shots.
Right.
Yep.
And then, of course, unless you have something like Guardian, ignites precision shots, but I don't think any Astarte stuff has Guardian yet.
So the not necessarily Guardian, but I do know that the Deathwing companions have a special rule that allows them to, regardless of precision strikes or shots, to take the wounds.
Sick. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it really is.
So yeah, Lookout Sir is gone, but we, with it being gone, we also have a whole new slew of problems that we're going to have to, iron out, tinker, whatever. Give Suzerains Chosen Warrior, and I think a lot of the issues are gone. Don't give Custodes all characters. Make them Chosen Warriors too. I think that's the best way to go. I mean, there's already literally a rule to make them like characters, but not being able to use the wound allocation trick. So just use that. Salvo weapons are gone. Like what were salvo weapons? Roto cannons.
Salvo weapons
right?
had two dice values. One for if you had moved, and one for if you had stood still.
Right.
I am really happy with that change because honestly, it was too much to think about. If you moved, you have the number of shots. It was just needlessly complex.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely a relic of like 3rd edition, 2nd edition Warhammer.
Because they were, in that sense, they were basically either an assault weapon or a heavy weapon, which is like, just if you're going to be a rock kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Like, be a heavy weapon or be an assault weapon. So
we should note for new players who are maybe only familiar with 8th edition or 9th edition,
or
40K.
not at all. Maybe this is your first foray into it,
or maybe it's your first entirely. The first edition of Horus Heresy was based on 7th edition 40K.
5th edition.
5th edition.
I mean, I guess the last full Age of Darkness was based off of 7th, but I think it's picked up at 5th edition.
Oh yeah, Betrayal was all 5th edition.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It is a relic.
So, Betrayal and moving on up. So starting in 5th, and a lot of the stuff just didn't get cut. I mean, when they moved it over to Age of Darkness 1.0 and gave it its own rule set, they did a lot of trim in the fat, but there were still things like heavy vehicle.
Yeah. So, Age of Dark, the AOD, the Age of Darkness rule set was based on 7th. So if we're talking about some stuff that sounds really weird to you, that's why.
Yeah. It was really weird. Honestly.
So salvo weapons are gone. We now just have pistols, heavy, assault, template, rapid.
Yeah.
Cool. And blast.
Well,
blast.
No, that's a subtype. That's not. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Another thing in the shooting phase is go to ground is gone. You used to be able to duck your head and literally lay on the ground and go prone, and you would get a +1 to your cover save, giving you a 6 if you were out in the open, improving it. And I don't think there was a cap. So I think if you were like behind an Aegis defense line, which gave you a 4-up cover save, you could go to ground and get a 3-up. Or you know what?
I think it was a 2-up.
Because that's deeper into the rules of the Age of the defense line rules.
More specifically, you voluntarily became pinned.
Yes.
So not only did you get the +1 to your cover, but you couldn't move, you fought last in assault, and you
snapshot. Yeah. So
it was a very interesting choice to make.
Yeah, especially when you were fighting against Jason, who would just be like, all right, I'm going to go to ground. And you're like, nobody goes to ground. And then Jason's like, I got Auxilia, man. Like, they're going to go to ground. Like, I need that extra cover save, so I'm going to ground. And Jason was the first one I ever played who actually like went to ground in practical, viable reasons, and it baffled me that he would use like legitimate strategy.
Because most of us are out here rocking 3-up armor saves. Like, what are we going to go to
and
ground
we're all just
for?
like
A
charge
6-up
cover.
cover.
Or he's got Las Rifleman, and he's like, I'm gonna go to ground, and I was like, oh, I guess you could, yeah, sure,
yeah, sure.
let me just fail to hit all these, and then you save whatever makes through. Yeah, so it's a neat rule. Did they put anything in to supplement it? Is there any way to gain voluntarily an extra save except for going into different types of cover, right?
They have the reaction.
The reaction, yeah.
To evade, which gives you a shrouded save of 5-up.
Okay, good. We'll get to that when we get to the reactions. That's good. Mm-hmm. Assault phases. I think everybody's favorite phase of the game. I think everybody here has a lot of choppy stuff.
Yeah.
So there's some really interesting changes.
Let's get right into them.
Yeah. So max distance is still 12 inches. It was always 12 inches because you could only roll 12 on 2d6. The lowest is now 2 inches. That wasn't the case. You could fail a charge within 2 inches if you had hardened armor. Because you would then be a -1, so you'd be 1 inch. You couldn't make it, right? You now get something called charge bonuses based on the movement values. So if you move 8 to 10 inches, you get a +1. If you move 11 to 12 inches, you get +2. And if you get 13 or more inches, you get +3.
And these are your base movements. Yeah, these are your base movement stats.
Right. So regular Stardays, they move 7 inches. They're not going to get a +1 inch. But a jump pack dude who moves 12 inches will definitely get a +2 to his charge. Now that's saying you still have a max distance of 12. But what this does is it adds to your dice roll. So if you roll, say, an 11 and you have a 10-inch movement, you're actually going to add that 1 and be at a 12-inch charge. Really great for units that are fast. It makes them feel like they have momentum to carry them through
fast
the charge.
Units get stuck in faster.
And of course, now you have minimum movement increases now too.
You're right. Yeah.
Guy in
so
a jump
from
pack
5 inches,
will never lose a 4-inch charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just as igniters didn't click, and he just stumbles 4 inches. He's like, "Oh no!"
How much do jetpacks move now? I have a feeling they move super quick. So
16 inches, maybe.
Yeah, so they're never going to fail a charge.
Maybe 12
less
inches.
than 5
So
inches.
what's crazy? Jetpacks are actually a little faster than jump packs now.
Oh yeah, jetpacks. Yeah, you're right, because they give you a +6 bonus, or a +6 to your movement flat, and then. We'll get into that later, I guess, because that's more of a mechanical thing. I don't think any of the Stardays have jetpacks, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
But basically, it allows you to shoot, move, or move, shoot, and then move again.
But yeah, also,
and again, rather than that being random, it's a set number.
Yeah, also a tip to new players, there is a difference between jetpacks and jump packs.
Mm-hmm. There is.
It caught me off guard so much when I first started playing this game, because, like, why do you have 2 different types of packs? Well... this is why.
One makes you fly, and one just shoots you forward like a meat missile.
Yeah. Fire the meat cannon.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever watched that? What is it? The Peacemaker. He's got that one helmet that does the human torpedo.
Good God!
And
it just saved the day.
It launches you, the user, as a meat tornado. I almost said.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
So new mechanic, surge moves. If you fail a charge, if you don't quite meet your charge distance, you still move half the distance that you rolled.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest thing, and it made no sense.
To just be like, we're not going to even take one step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like they
almost
borrowed
like
that from old fantasy.
It was like the Marines themselves were rolling dice, and they thought, we're not going to make it, Sarge. Let's stay put.
Nope. I'm going to hang back.
Yeah.
Auspex says, bad idea.
Is that a Warhammer Fantasy thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's real handy.
Yeah, depending
Good.
on the unit type, you're rolling either like 2 or 3 dice and picking the 2 highest, and you'll like pick the. Jason, help me. Is it the lowest 1 or 1 or 2? You'll scoot forward if you fail a charge.
The lowest 2 if you have Swift Stride.
That's
the
right.
lowest 1 if you don't. So it's better than a stick in the eye, but it's like not going to rocket you across the board if you fail the charge.
Right.
Occasionally, it kind of screws you because you don't have to worry about flanks in 30K, but it'll scoot you just far enough forward that you're in the charge range of something you don't want to be, especially if it was something you were planning on charging.
That is actually a great question I was going to ask. Is the surge move mandatory? If you fail a charge, do you have to do the surge move? Because that could kind of be risky, because that puts you at closer range to your enemy for their follow-up turn. Yeah. And they are going to be closer to you to get the charge off. They are going to be closer to you to shoot you to death if they want to. It's a very risk-reward thing.
Yeah, if the charging, this is page 183 of the rulebook. If the charging unit's charge is considered to have failed, it must move every model in the charging unit towards the target of its failed charge a number of inches equal to half their rolled charge distance. This is referred to as a surge.
Good. That's going to make it like, it's because before you used to be able to just send it 12 inches. I'm going to try it. What is going to happen? You're going to overwatch me and miss all your shots? Okay, fine. But now if I just send it full to try to get a 12 and I end up getting like half my movement is a 5 and I'm 5 inches closer to you, man, that's bad juju. That's a lot of badness coming my way. It's good stuff. I like it. Mm-hmm. How do challenges work now?
Wounds don't spill over that are caused, which is
funnily
huge.
Enough, again, just like fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they still a lot.
It still should be noted that they do still count towards combat resolution.
Just like fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
Sigismund didn't just Sigismund didn't win the challenge and then kill 5 other dudes. He won the challenge so hard that he may as well have killed 5 other dudes.
That's how it should
be.
He's decapitating captains left and right. I mean, that's going to cause morale to decrease in the rest of the squad. You know what I mean? Yeah, so makes total sense.
Just watching a Son of Horus on TV like they're interviewing someone who just survived a tornado. Sigismund just came through, and I don't know what happened after that.
That was a Category 5.
Category 5 ass beating.
Because how cool was it for Sigismund to go into combat with some lowly sergeant, kill the sergeant outright, and then kill a whole bunch of his other dudes? I mean, that was cool, but I just feel like this is more in theme from what we read in the novels, too, where...
You're making an example out of somebody.
Yeah, it's like, you're next. Like, I could have done it, but...
Also, touching on the novels and challenges, it never made a lot of sense to me why attacks would spill out and kill other guys, because when it comes to challenges between Astartes, people back off. It's a one-on-one fight, and when one guy goes down, they don't just surge forward just so they can get hit on Sigismund's backswing. They kind of stand there and stay for a little bit. He's not Sauron, whacking one dude with a mace and sending 15 others flying.
That's what Reaping Blow does. You could just...
During events, we'll have to keep track of who made the most overkill.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's a good point that they did not bring from fantasy. In fantasy, it's called the overkill bonus. That is capped at +3 to additional over and above whatever wounds the model you just killed has. I don't think that applies here.
There's no max.
Yeah, it can go real south real quick.
Yeah. But that does open up and leave room for possibly a character getting a rule like that. I guess if he's not that great at combat, maybe being like, all right, well, the most he can overkill is this, because he's Malagurst, he's broke as shit or something. You know what I mean? I'm just,
So like when the Lion with 9 attacks because he's down to like 2 wounds takes out a sergeant and deals 8 wounds extra damage.
Yeah. His friends aren't dead, but they sure wish they are.
Yeah. It's good. I like it. The next thing I like a lot is the weapon skill table changes. And this is
yes.
This is so
much.
New
it is
players.
terrific.
possibly
new
the
players,
best change out of the
I
whole
don't
edition.
think you're going to understand how great this change is, really. Weapon skills, it's actually, I think, a lot like the hit table for 40k 8th ed or 9th ed if you played that. So if you're 1 point higher...
Well, they just have a flat.
To hit? Oh, you're right. But I guess the wound table. It's equivalent to your wound table from other editions of Warhammer games, right?
Yeah.
If the enemy's weapon skill is 1 point higher, you hit on a 5. If the enemy has double your weapon skill, you hit on a 6. If you're double or more, you hit the enemy on 2+. And if their weapon skill is 1 lower than you, you hit them on, 3s, right? So it's a very simple chart of 2s, 3s, 5s, and 6s.
Yeah.
If
For new players, the weapon skill table, I played this for years and I still had a reference just to see, okay, do I hit on a 3 this time? No? Okay. Now, for the most part, you were hitting on 4s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most commonly. Even if you had a better weapon skill, your opponent was still hitting you on 4s.
Yeah. To give people who might be new a reference here, say you've got your Praetor and he's facing, a cultist. That cultist is hitting him on a 4. Say he's facing another Praetor. That Praetor is hitting him on a 4.
Yeah.
It made no damn sense.
Yeah. Both of his opponents were equally capable of... Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Again, a throwback from previous editions, and this is a welcome change to where now having elite units that have weapon skill even just 5 feels much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they feel like they're better at fighting.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to duel people who are better than you. Because you can't just rely on a 50-50 chance to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Or my guys would come in and swing and hit on 3s, but the opponent who was still hitting on regular 4s and stuff, it was just like,
why bother? Yeah.
Yeah.
Elites feel like elites.
Exactly. And I mean, when you start getting to like weapon skill 6 or, potentially even upwards to 8, and most Astartes are 4, and you're hitting them on 2s, first off, you'd never be able to hit on 2s in the past. The best you could do was a 3.
That's
now
true.
You can actually hit on 2s. So combat is going to be way more bloody. There's going to be a lot. It's going to be faster. It's going to be a lot more deaths, a lot more hits. It's going to be great. That's exactly what I think a lot of people like about the 30K is when it gets close in and you're starting to use your chain bayonets and gouging dudes' eyes out and stuff. So
yeah, it's all well and fine to shoot someone at a distance with a bolter. But as Austin will tell you 100 times, the bayonet is where the real work is done.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then we have Consolidation. So again, this used to be a random thing. You would roll a d6 and that would be your Consolidation.
Yeah, now, if you won and beat the opponent unit they're removed from the table, then you get to have your Consolidation bonus, which was, like Will said, a d6.
Right.
So
now it is just your initiative.
The highest initiative of the model in the unit.
Oh, that's right. So if you have a Praetor in there who's higher initiative than the tacticals, you're going to get that highest movement. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty significant, knowing that, you have a Praetor, you're consolidating 5 inches every turn.
Yeah.
He's coming to get you.
Yeah.
But you still can't consolidate into combat, right? That hasn't changed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Very cool.
This is fancy.
I know. What is it? Sweeping advanced. Unit is destroyed if winner rolls higher than loser of combat. Still initiative plus d6 for both sides.
So that has not changed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that changed.
Like before, you had to meet it.
Oh, yeah, if it was equal or higher.
So yeah, it is a big. Even think about your Gal Vorback. That's a.
Wait, hold on. Explain that to me. What do you?
So before go ahead, Jason. Go ahead, Jared.
Before you had to meet so if you're an initiative 5 unit and you win combat by 1, your opponent rolls a 4, you've got to roll a 3 or better.
Basically, before
you've got to meet that rather than
when you guys made your initial checks.
If you tied the sweeping advance roll, then you still caught him. Now you have to win the sweeping advance roll to catch him.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which that is nice for. I think Templar Brethren are the only unit that has a Crusader, which just
maybe
now
in the Imperial Fist. No, Emperor's Children have some Crusader rules.
Do they?
Mhm.
Crusader now just re-roll sweeping advance.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's kind of
Coming
cool.
to get ya.
That's
Yep.
okay.
Blown it.
It's real nice too, because the Emperor's Children have a whole bunch of initiative manipulation and bonus tactics.
Do not like.
Oh, it is so good.
Initiative doesn't matter if I shoot you in the face first. I'm
Amen.
hoping.
You're not wrong, but
Like,
Good
I'm
luck
not gonna lie.
finding-
I really think Melta guns are the answer to
Melta
so many
and
things.
plasma. Oh,
Yeah.
You don't discount that rapid fire on a plasma gun, but we'll get to that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Multiple combats. Winner of combat may not use initiative value for sweeping advance roll, but falling back unit uses initiative plus d6 if winning unit roll equals or more than falling back unit, they are destroyed. Okay.
That's-
Hang on,
I need
wait,
to
what?
go in the book and actually read that because that doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. I don't know what I'm talking about when I read that. So
Winner of combat.
The winner of
use-
combat can't add their initiative when they're making the sweeping advance roll,
So they're
but the
salivating.
person who's falling back still can, presumably because they're locked in multiple combats, so they
Yeah.
can't get away to sweep the other guy. But if the winning unit rolls
Gotcha.
equal or more than the falling back unit, then the falling back unit is still destroyed.
Okay. So like the
But
older
that's
rules.
only in multiple combats.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you can still sweep if you tie if you're in multiple combat.
Yeah.
Because before it was just like, well, that guy got that enemy got away.
Yeah.
Because I'm stuck in here with this other unit still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. You get an option to sweep. I still hate
Yeah,
sweeping.
but it should bear noting that the sweeping advance is not in and of itself a consolidation. So if you're stuck in multiple combats, right? If you're Sigismund and Templars and you kill or you win against one squad of tacticals and you're still fighting the other squad of tacticals, the first squad that tries to get away, if you catch them by sweeping advance, you'll still kill them, but you're not going anywhere because you're still stuck fighting the other squad.
Gotcha.
And should also be as a side note, now that leadership is one less than used to be in the previous edition,
God.
failing morale checks is a lot more feasible. But also, Vexillas have changed now too, where you get +1 to combat resolution.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's no longer just a reroll of morale check. It is now you just get a flat +1 to your combat resolution. So,
But we'll get into that.
yeah,
We'll break down some war gear later.
we'll get there one day. But anyway,
I finally get why the Emperor's Children Warlord trait is so funny. Because of all the leadership manipulation now, the Warlord trait is if you fail a morale check, you don't fail it, you just take an unsavable wound and then you count as passing it instead.
You just bap someone on the back of the head.
And that is hilarious, and I love it so much.
Wait, hang on.
that feels very
is-
militia.
That's not only militia. That's specifically an orc rule.
It's also known as the Eidolon backhand, so
Yeah, orcs could inflict war bosses, or maybe just knobs, could inflict D3 wounds on a unit
yeah,
if
that's
they
how
failed a morale check.
discipline officers
Yeah.
work for militia. But it's better because discipline officers inflict those D3 wounds and they allow you to re-roll it. The Emperor's Children trait inflicts a single wound and you automatically pass it now.
Eidolon
good
is
times.
literally keeping the pimp hand strong.
Yeah. So now we're getting into general changes. Those were phase changes, right? Movement, shooting, assault phase. These are general changes. We now have 3 core warlord traits. Bloody-handed, stoic defender, and ever vigilant. You no longer... Okay, listeners, again, more randomization taken away. There used to be 6. You would roll a d6, and you would get whatever you got. So you could build a list tailored for shooting, come the game, and then you roll your warlord trait, and you get something for combat.
Yeah.
And you
Your
don't
warlord
have...
causes fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have a combat-tooled character in your army, and definitely not your warlord. But now we get to actually choose and play a kind of character that we want to. So there's a reaction, or I'm sorry, there's one that's tailored for combat, one that's tailored for shooting. and then one that's tailored for movement. And each of these gets you an extra reaction in the appropriate phases. So we'll go off with Bloody Handed. Go on, Steven. What's up?
I should note these are core Warlord traits, not just like core army traits. So not only were there 6 Warlord traits to choose from, newbies, there were 3 tables of 6 Warlord traits to choose from.
Yeah.
There were 18 traits, and only, I don't know, 4 of them were any good.
Yeah. And some of, like we said, some of them would just be complete. You get to discard a objective. Okay, well, we're playing a slaughter mission, so that's completely useless.
Generally, when you're playing with
Warlord trait against everybody who's in orbit waiting for deep strike.
Now, like Will said, with like the objective one, if you're playing with anybody who's halfway decent, they'll be like, yeah, re-roll that because it makes no sense.
Right,
but,
right.
Should also note that for the Legionis Astartes, there are no... the core Legionis Astartes do not have their own separate table. Each Legion has their own special Warlord trait you can pick, but there's no like separate just base Astartes table either.
Right.
They still use the same core 3 here.
So we have Bloody Handed, which is +1 reaction in the assault phase. All units within 12 inches gain +1 to combat resolution. That goes into the sweeping advances we were talking about earlier.
So much better than the old Bloody Handed, which was just fear.
Right?
Your opponent's going to pass.
Stoic Defender, +1 reaction in shooting phase. The model and the attached unit gains pinning. Great for any unit that you want to put pinning on. If you're a shooting army, this is excellent.
Pinning is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Ever Vigilant, +1 reaction in the movement phase. Uses model initiative for +1 for the purpose of running. So no longer is it the squad's initiative. You're not using the lowest initiative movement anymore for the run. You're using your HQ's initiative for the run. So you're getting on a Praetor 5 inches instead of 4. So
a +1, so 6 inches.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, models initiative +1. Yeah.
You're Naruto running 13 inches.
Yeah. Very good. I like the changes, guys. I love these new Warlord traits.
Yep.
They are
which
very
one
solid,
you need. It has universal application to that given situation.
Yeah. The picking it to tailor your army. If you're a shooting army, go for the shooting one. Combat army. I mean, it's just perfect. I love it. Yeah. It's great.
No, Militia was able to choose their own Warlord trait, but you paid 25 points for it, if I remember right.
Right. That's how big it was to pick your own. And Astartes, if you brought a Praetor, could roll twice.
That's
Mechanicum had nothing like that. And Mechanicum were very specific, at least the way I built them. I specifically would build a Mechanicum HQ to be a shooter, to be a controller like a Dominus, or to be a melee guy. There was no like in between kitchen sink for Mechanicum for me, anyways. So when I would roll a combat one for my dude with a conversion beamer, I was like, well, this is terrible.
This is great.
The Mechanicum traits were so swingy too.
Yeah,
like what's Death of Flesh, the one that gave your entire army preferred enemy infantry.
Yep.
But only if there were objectives in the game. So within 3 inches of an objective, you would just lay waste like nothing else, or it was completely useless if there weren't objectives.
Yeah, you're right. Completely like it's either great or it's terrible kind of powers. Yeah. Ally chart. Same, but contains extra 2 troop slots and 1 extra elite slot. Okay, awesome. So that's talking about the 4-sword chart. I thought when he said ally chart, I thought he meant like
the allies matrix.
The allies matrix. Yeah, So before it was 2 troops, 1 HQ, 1 elite, 1 fast attack, and 1 heavy. I thought,
and 2 troops. Yeah. Now you got an army.
I mean, that sounds like half of a Crusade 4-sword chart. That is what that is. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. That gives you so many options for an allied attachment. Yep. Very good.
I'll be honest, I've never really played with allied attachments before.
I have not either, but I want to this edition.
Yeah. I need to see how mortals go, because I would love to start getting those like mixed armies like that.
Yeah. Well, that's not entirely true. I suppose I have played allied. I always allied in knights. I think they were like the easiest ones to ally in, right? One HQ and one troop.
I mean, but that was just yeah. Although, yeah.
But I would like to actually start allying in like other legions and that kind of stuff. I think that'd be good. What else do we have, guys? Psychic powers?
Psychic powers. This is huge. So first things first, the psychic phase, gone. New players, it used to be movement, psychic phase, shooting, assault.
Mhm.
Or, yeah, that was it. And psychers, you had 6 disciplines to choose from, and guess what? More
6
tables.
Yeah, 6 tables.
Yeah. So you would
randomly
pick a discipline.
determined for the most
Yep,
part.
you would pick a discipline, but then you would have to randomly roll for the power, and you would get
What you got?
You would get what you got. In Heresy, psychers aren't like super powerful, except for Thousand Suns. So mostly what you ended up with was a psyker who knew the main power of the discipline, and then one extra one for goodies.
Yeah.
And sometimes the main powers were so swingy in terms of how good they were that most people just auto-picked whatever discipline had a good Primaris power and then just accepted whatever power they got as gravy. Then, in order to cast powers, you had to, first of all, only use them in the psychic phase, and you had to roll a bunch of dice to basically determine how many warp charges you got. If you're familiar with fantasy, it was almost identical to fantasy's magic phase.
Yeah.
It just took forever to resolve the psychic phase, especially if you were playing against a Thousand Suns player, and don't even think about
we love
it
Jason.
during a
You were
mega
pretty
battle.
quick with it because we knew what you wanted. Iron Arm and warp speed.
Yeah.
Hey,
guys
I like
guys
it's
like Jason
evil, too.
specialized. But like me as a word bearers player, I had access to telepathy or biomancy. So it was, which one do I want to use right now? Because I don't have enough for both. Mega battles, when you get to the psychic phase, it was just, all right, everybody stop while the psychic guys do their thing.
So I rectified this, and this had to become like a homebrew rule where you would just pick a power and it would go off, because we did not have time to sit around for 30 minutes while everybody cast their psychic powers and rolled on random tables to see if they were going to get this thing. Like, no, man, we got 14, 15 people here. Pick it. It goes off. Your little extra toughness on this one guy isn't going to change the game that much.
Yeah.
So
additionally, there wasn't anything you could do about it. Like, you got, if you were the person who's turn
like
it
denying
wasn't,
the witch?
Denying you had the ability to basically stop powers if you rolled well enough, but you just didn't have the dice necessary.
Yeah,
So,
unless you're Thousand Suns.
Unless you're Thousand Suns. But Thousand Suns players typically weren't playing against each other.
I played a psyker once in an event and played against the Thousand Suns guys, so I was not able to use my psyker at all for a game. I was like, okay.
So essentially, the psychic phase
shut down all your powers. Like, okay, I have 3 warp charges, and he has 10, and he just was able to just roll and cancel mine out.
It was the gaming equivalent of wearing an anvil around your neck. But now, in this glorious age of 2.0, psychic powers have basically been broken down into 2 categories. You have powers and you have weapons. Psychic powers are buffs and debuffs. They make you tougher, they make you faster, they make your opponent worse. Weapons are exactly what they sound like. Magic bolters, magic swords, magic eyeballs, whatever. And you select them instead of having to roll for them, because you automatically get them. So the disciplines, biomancy, pyromancy, telekinesis, telepathy, etc., are all still the same. But instead of having 6 powers each to choose from, now you just take the discipline. Okay, hold out your hands. Here's your weapon. Here's your power. Now go.
Yeah.
Each one will tell you exactly when and where to use them in the movement phase, in the shooting phase, whatever. You just do it. And some of them have a rule called psychic focus. You take a psychic check, which I believe is a leadership test.
Yeah, you can choose to double down and try to enhance that power
Yeah, some
by making
are
leadership tests.
Yes, some are chosen, and then some are mandatory depending on how powerful they are.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, I believe, you want to charge it? Okay,
Yeah.
I will. Sorry. But sometimes you can make a power even better by doubling down and doing the psychic check.
Yes, but if you fail that psychic check, in some instances the power doesn't even go off. But in all instances, you suffer perils of the warp, which in first edition was, you guessed it, another random table.
Which was not bad.
It ranged from your head hurts to that unit is gone.
Or suddenly you became supercharged and powered and just
Or sometimes you went Super Saiyan.
You failed and then you won because you failed.
Yeah.
Kazinch, I guess.
In this edition, if you suffer perils of the warp, you just take D3 wounds. You can't save them except with invulnerable saves. That's it. It's done. Move along.
And you can take those on any model in the unit.
Mm-hmm.
The Psyker isn't the only one suffering. The guys around who are wondering what Steve is doing with his hands like that suddenly realize, oh shit, my head is gone.
Yeah. So, welcome to 2.0, Psychers to the front of the line.
So
Also,
at first, the D3 wounds thing seemed super weird to me, because it would be like, why is the Psyker like tossing, his brain melting onto another guy? But then I was like, wait, of course, if I was a Psyker and I was a dick, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, it's like the most Thousand Suns thing you could do.
Right? It's like demons
Psychers
coming in.
Psychers are not
Hand it over to
their generosity.
Okay, in my head canon, what I'm saying is just like the electricity sparking off, dude, and Greg over there just happens to be a little too close and catches a little spark.
Yeah.
And gets vaporized into dust. It happens from time to time.
Slight little tear in reality, and you lose 3 guys. It happens.
Yeah. I mean,
but how many times in novels has that exact thing happened? Like, somebody starts bleeding from every facial orifice because their sanctioned psyker accidentally, got a little too close to the void.
Yeah.
The warp is just icy reality.
It's perfect.
No, I really like this.
It is also worth noting that Adamantium Will is now like a legit thing. It's not just, I get a 5-up to deny the witch. There's a bunch of units that have 3-up Adamantium Will.
Yep, and so what it is, 3-up, Adamantium Will now is just basically a flat invulnerable save against psychic powers.
Oh shit, for real?
Yes, before in previous editions, each would have like a pool of dice to fling psychic powers on, and Adamantium Will, if you were defending, gave you a +1 to your resolution to try to cancel out your opponent.
Yeah. So you'd get a 5-up instead of a 6-up.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Sigismund has a 3-up. I think the Knights Cenobium have 3-ups. Yeah. I'm sure the Space Wolves have some bullshit.
The Knights might have 3-up. I know the Dark Angels Paladin has a 3-up and vulnerable save against psychic.
No, the Knights themselves do too. I was checking them out.
Are those Adamantium Will saves usable on the Perils of the Warp wounds?
That's a good question. I would have to check.
Because that'd be great to be like, all right, well, these guys, I'm going to put my Psyker with these guys because they can kind of handle if he goes apeshit a little bit.
I don't think I'll put my Psyker with Sigismund. I'm going to be honest.
All right, let's move on. My screen just went blank because we've been talking about psychic powers too long.
Regrouping. You may move up to initiative if regrouped. When falling back, automatically fail morale check. So regrouping, sometimes you'll get pinned or fall back. And at that, you used to just, move D3 inches?
I think it was just 3 inches.
Was it 3 inches? Okay. But now you get to regroup at your initiative, which is good.
Yep.
So, wound allocation, we touched on this earlier. Owning player decides how to allocate wounds inflicted. Any wounds on models except characters must be allocated wounds first. Once player starts allocating wounds to a model, they must continue to do so until all wounds have been saved from the wound pool or a model removed. Mm-hmm. So if you got a 2-wound model and it's not a character, just a regular line Marine, then it's going to take 1 wound, and then if you take another wound, it has to go on the guy who's already hurt. So that way we, can kill out models. Weapon strength can now go above 10. Before it was capped at 10. Now we see some destroyer weapons getting like strength 16 and that kind of stuff.
Aren't demo cannons strength 12?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
On the Vindicator? Yes.
Yeah. Used when working out instant death and armor pen, which is solid. They're usually on anti-tank weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent that they do this, because now you can actually instant death
stuff,
automata and castellax and that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's great.
T6 demons. Hit them with a demo cannon.
All right. So
them.
now we're getting into something that's going to take a while, I think, for us to discuss. We're not going to discuss.
Yeah. We're
already pushing, I think, close to an hour, right?
Yep. But we can. We'll see what we got here.
Okay.
I'm willing to go as long as you guys want to go. So.
Okay. Sounds good. So Deep Strike Assault. This is a new rule. You will assign 1 or more units to Deep Strike Assault. Only 1 allowed. So I guess that's saying there's only 1 Deep Strike Assault allowed.
Yep.
But you can have multiple units in that assault.
Correct.
Roll once for all units assigned from turn 2. Place the first unit, scatter, roll a dice. If a 1 is rolled, the opponent may place all other units within 24 inches and no scatter. If a 2+ is rolled, the other units are deployed within 12 inches with no scatter. Enemy units within 6 inches must then take a penning test. Units may not shoot or may shoot and charge as normal after interception reactions are resolved. And then in the rulebook, it goes into much more detail exactly how to carry out a Deep Strike Assault. But that is the gist of it. And what this allows you to do is to, I guess, what is the right of war?
Hammerfall Strike Force.
Hammerfall Strike Force is a great one that we'll use to explain this. Go on, Jared.
So Hammerfall Strike Force was my cross to bear for a bit in 1.0 because it was without a doubt the worst right of war. You couldn't bring your reserves on until turn 2. You couldn't have vehicles on the board. So basically you just had your soft squishy guys out there getting shot for a turn or two before people came down. And then when they did come down, you could not charge or do much of anything of consequence until turn 3. I can't tell you how many times I had, even, Storm Shield Terminator squads come down. And by the way, you had to come down in base-to-base contact.
Right, which is a huge, hey, nuke this unit, please.
Yeah. Insert demo cannon here. Multiple times I had a squad of Terminators come down, 1 single demo cannon template, wipe them all out.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart. It was such a bad rule set. It was clunky, and it made gun lines aggressively overpowered when, hey, some people want to do cool, assault style armies, based off the fluff, based off of, teleport strikes and, all the cool stuff we see in the books. Now
that smell of ozone and the hoarfrost that forms, and all of a sudden, pa-chang, and then boom.
Yeah. Now it looks like that, and we don't have to worry about a Deep Strike mishap table anymore.
Yeah,
literally on our last game, our last event
was a farewell to 7th edition.
Yeah, Will's challenge to the participants was come up with the worst list, the most absolutely garbage tier thing you could come up with, and bring that. So I brought Hammerfall Strike Force, and
Every Fist. I just want to mention, you and Every Fist were all in agreement that is the worst right of war in existence. So you all ran it, and you all did fairly about the same. Where, as he's about to explain,
but I also lost like a 20-man tax squad, just gone, deleted before they got to the board because I rolled on a mishap table. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
They're just, misplaced.
Worst case scenario, they're 24 inches away.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's great. It's
you used to, because people are also like, I can't believe they make us place why does my opponent get to place them 24 inches away? My guy, you either used to completely outright die, or your opponent got to place them literally anywhere on the board. So he would place them in the furthest corner away from you and everybody else.
Where they wouldn't be able to do a damn thing for 3 turns.
This is such an improvement. It works. I'm basing my whole Nova around this specific rule. It's all Warhawk themed, so Sigismund and Fafnir are coming down with Templars and Phalanx orders. And that's representing the ambushes of the late siege as they were carried out.
So good!
I'm so pumped about it.
So good! It's so good.
It's fluffy.
I really love it. I'm hoping we get some sort of kind of generic deep strike assault kind of rite of war, similar to Hammerfall, maybe in the lines of the Zone Mortalis rite of war, where you were allowed to nominate a couple of units. Maybe something like that. You'd not your whole force gets to deep strike, but like a couple guys. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
For those of us who don't play
the Angel's Wrath or whatever, where you could have your Assault Marines come down turn 1 and do something cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope they bring that back.
But it's a great, cool new rule, and I think everybody is for it. I haven't heard anybody who says like, "Oh, this is bullshit. I don't want. I don't want this in my games."
No,
it's great.
So,
in addition, want to touch on flanking assault because I have no idea.
So, flanking assault is kind of new. Like before, we had the what do they call it, outflank, which was kind of a different way to bring your guys in reserves. But now we have the flanking assault. So, per the summary, you assign 1 or more units to a flanking assault, and you can only have 1 group of units that can do a flanking assault. And before the game starts, you place a marker anywhere on any table edge. It can even be in the opponent's deployment zone, and you roll for reserves for all the units in that assault from turn 2. And if it's a 1 on a die roll, your opponent may reposition that marker 24 inches along the edge of the board. But if you roll a 2 up, you may reposition your marker within 6 inches of that marker, and then bring your guys on from that side of the table.
That's pretty good.
And again, they can charge.
Yeah. I'm loving the charging out of reserves thing.
It's so good.
Definitely changes the game. Like for the longest time, I personally felt, for the most part, deep striking assault units was useless.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always thought it was some sort of gimmick. I never liked dealing with reserves. Even as an Iron Hand, I could outflank all of my tanks, and I rarely did it because it felt so unreliable. You never knew when you were going to get your reinforcements in, or where they were going to come in. So, yeah, these new changes are very welcomed. It makes it feel like it's an actual tactic you should prepare for and can utilize effectively in games.
And it still balances with, Overwatch being a reaction at full ballistic skill. Like, Steven's pointed out with his, fancy scary cannons, he can probably turn off 1 charge a turn through pinning.
Yes.
It's not, I don't think we're going to see people just, boom, table turn 2 or something. Yeah, I think it's going to balance really well still.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jared, you just reminded me of something that I think is a huge, huge change, but it's like really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, Overwatch casualties caused in Overwatch could not cause pinning or morale checks against a charging unit. Now they can.
They call that the screw that noise.
Right, yeah. That's what we were talking about. We're like, oh, so you can pin a unit before it even charges you now. That's
oh, yeah.
You can just be like, good. All right, put down every single, like just a wall of lead, and I'm sure it's going to stop somebody. And that's exactly what you can do.
Natural.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It feels
like, how many times
thematic.
have you seen that? Like, yeah, thematic. Thank you. How many times have you seen that, like in a movie or something, where they're going to make they're about to get you, and then suddenly they got a cower in the back
or
cover.
read it in a book. I mean, most recently example,
Chthonia's Reckoning.
There's like a dude who's got a flamer, and he's holding back a bunch of dudes from charging because who wants to be cooked alive by promethium? Nobody. So you should be able to stop people and keep them in their tracks if you are doing that, you know?
Beautiful.
That's good. Primarch unit type. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So Primarch unit type, they are their own unit type. I don't think they were before.
Nope.
Also, it is a separate slot in the and in addition to a Lord of War, but they count together for a 25% rule.
So now Primarchs.
Let's break that down. Yeah.
Yeah, Primarchs are now a actual unit detachment slot. Before they used to share with Lords of War. But now Primarchs...
So you could either bring a Primarch or a Fellblade, but you couldn't bring them both.
Correct.
Yeah, which was dumb.
Yeah. But now you can bring both because they fill separate slots. However, you still cannot bring more than 25% of the total point cost of your army as these units.
Right. And that 25% is a holdover from Age of Darkness 1.0, where Lords of War could not be more than 25% of your total points value, which means you couldn't bring, in a 3,000 point game, it had to be, what is that, 750 points?
Do the math on me, something like that, yeah.
Yes,
whatever.
But yeah, so it's still, unless you're playing something ridiculous, you're still probably going to be limited to a single Primarch or Lord of War.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're playing a 3,500 point game, that means you can bring like a Typhon, tank destroyer, and a Primarch, and still be within your 25%, which is like 1,000 points. 1,000 points is plenty for both of those Lords of War, or Primarch and Lord of War now, and it's great. I love it. I personally think that most games are going to be 3,000 points, but I definitely see 3,500 points becoming a new value so people can do specifically this.
Absolutely.
For like narrative games and that kind of stuff.
I think Jason and I figured out 3,750 is the sweet spot.
God damn it. Why you gotta do weird
3,750.
3,750 was my happy place.
4,000, man. It's an extra
okay.
It's a fantasy thing. Fantasy players love 2250 and 2750.
Jeez,
it's my bad. I'll take that one.
Remember 1995 for 6th edition?
Was that yeah, that was, huh? Because you couldn't be over it. Like, yeah, of course.
There was some like point limit where then you can like do double force org chart or something like that. I think it was 1995.
That was another one for fantasy too, where they'd play. Oh gosh, because your options, you could take more special and rare choices once you hit 3,000. So tournaments and stuff would be 2,999 plus one.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Because fantasy players, dude. Like, I love fantasy, and I don't understand them.
Everybody is a.
It's just like
fantasy. Yeah.
That's just a different word for playing Centurion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
But this is great.
Not knocking it, by the way. Centurion's fun, but
it's a great system. I think I love having Primarchs on the field. I don't have one yet, and I haven't had one in like 6 years. I haven't played with a Primarch, but I don't know if I'm able to play with a Primarch and a Lord of War. I probably will do both now, but I always preferred my Lords of War on the table.
I want to see you paint up Ferris now after 6 years of practice.
You get Rebute. That's what you get to see.
All right.
So, I do think it's something that's worth being brought up. That's not necessarily in this list, but Primarchs got so much better. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we just talked about the point value, but
the points, but the rules. I mean, Dorn was good. Like Dorn was a fine support Primarch who had good, weapon skill and could like handle himself in combat. I think the rules writers just read the Siege of Terra books and were like, all right, I'm going to put that on the page now.
Yeah. They're like, what's the coolest thing these guys have ever done? All right, write that into a rule somehow.
So to give you all, Dorn has on the charge 10 attacks.
Christ almighty.
That are strength 10. With Shred.
But again, Siege of Terra, that's exactly what he would do.
His weapon is no longer salvo.
His sidearm?
Yeah, it's now assault.
It was salvo?
It was salvo, so he couldn't charge after he shot his bolter.
Oh my god.
He's a Primarch.
Yeah.
Praetorian of the Imperium. I can't make that charge because I shot with my pistol.
The Lion suffered the same thing in the last edition, if I remember. I can't remember what.
Did he really?
I think so. The Fuselak Danaeus, I can't remember what. I don't remember. I think it was also a salvo, to be honest.
Madness. It's just absolutely insane.
But did Primarchs have Relentless back in the day?
No, they didn't.
Oh, God. Okay.
It wasn't in one of their core rules.
Yeah.
I researched this because I was so dumbfounded by
Yeah.
the
That's
principle of
bonkers. That's
But yeah,
so,
now,
you
but
know.
yeah, like, I don't know if I already mentioned, but yeah, now. So all Primarch attacks are precision shots / attacks. Stat lines can never be degraded, and snapshots are always fired at full ballistic skill.
Dude, like a rad grenade is not going to affect a Primarch now.
Yeah. Blind.
Amazing. Oh, whoa, you're right. Concuss? That used to be the way Ferris, was it Ferris who would like win combats because he'd concuss other Primarchs?
Mm-hmm.
But he can't do that no more.
Nope.
Wild.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Mhm.
Does concuss affect the stat line?
It affects weapon skill.
Does
No.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah,
Interesting. So yeah, concuss can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Also, always fire snapshots at full ballistic skill.
Yeah.
They just made them combat wise, they're valuable. That's not to speak of their support roles that they play for their entire armies now. Huge. Every Primarch, I think, personifies the way they led their army very well.
Mm-hmm. But we'll definitely get into that in future episodes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry to
definitely.
sidetrack us on a long episode, anyways.
So yeah.
Do we want to continue? Do we want to pause for a break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We're back. Jason and Steven had to run. We appreciate them hanging out.
Yeah, it is still a school night. It's Thursday. It's not the end of the week quite yet, so that's expected.
But Will, Jared, and myself are still here, and we're going to keep on going through. We were just talking in the break, like on social media. I can't get over how many awesome conversions are out there for the new Praetors in the new Age of Darkness box.
And uniqueness, like the levels of uniqueness from basically the same mold. Everybody is able to create their own twist on it, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Like when we first saw it, I was a little bit concerned. I'll be honest. I was concerned that it was like a single push fit and looked more difficult to really convert. But it looks like people have been converting that even easier than, say, like Betrayal at Calth.
Yeah. A lot easier.
Nothing is molded to the core of it, right?
Right. You can still
Like
change out
you can swap out shoulder pads, you can swap out backpacks, arms, weapons. Everything is still so customizable.
You brought up capes earlier. The Betrayal of Calth characters both have capes that are on there, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
These capes come off, which I left mine off because dry brushing capes is so much simpler when they're off the model than when they're on the model.
Plus, the sword guy's cape is 5 freaking pieces.
Oh, dude, same with the axe guy. I think it's
like 3 or 4.
6.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Multi-part capes, like what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those exist, yes, but not in the level of intricacy I've seen on these. Like normally, it'll just be like split on the shoulder and a straight seam down. But these and the seam lines blend into the curves of the cape,
right?
And it's so good. Guys, these are some of the best models we've ever gotten in the hobby, not just Horus Heresy, but in the entire hobby. It's amazing.
Yeah, and also on a quick tangent before we get back into the rules, Warhammer community came out with a new Heresy Thursday where the Dreadnought box set is going to just have a shit ton of stuff.
Way more stuff than the bog standard one that we have now.
Double conversion beamers.
Does it come with no?
It comes with one of each gun.
Oh, just one.
Who's not going to buy 2 of these?
Definitely.
Exactly.
Not to mention you probably get extra weapons pretty easily secondhand from people.
Whoever.
Also, I will say, Jesse pointed out that the holes on all of these weapons just so happen to be a 4x1 millimeter magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have
props to Goonhammer for that one.
Was that Goonhammer? Goonhammer does it again. When aren't they excelling, right?
Honestly, guys.
They never miss. Goonhammer, if you'd listen to this, which you probably don't, you're outstanding in everything you guys do. Love you.
Y'all are the reason I don't write articles anymore, because there's just why
you set the bar so hard or so high. I mean,
You don't do it because you're lazy, Jared.
Touche. Gotta go cry in a corner now.
But 4x1mm magnets, I bought some. They fit perfectly, and you can magnetize all your weapon options, and you never have to make the hard choice of gluing or not. I lose shit all the time. Ever since I was a child with micro machines, they were just disappear. So magnets for me are always kind of on the edge, but when it's so easy to magnetize it, I really don't care if I lose it or not. Like I think, what is it? Austin uses Altoids cans. I guess that I'll have to do that, so I don't lose my little weapons from just free floating in the bags.
All right, so we're going to get back into this. Before we get back into this, I'm going to go ahead and thank our patrons. Get that out of the way real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, with our patrons, they're able to support this podcast. We're able to keep the lights burning and do cool stuff, and we're really looking forward to future activities here. If you want to support us, go over to patreon.com/RR30K podcast. You can join our Discord, and patrons also have their own private Discord chat group, as well as your own little hobby blog on our Discord. And we do periodic hobby hangouts. Our patron Zach, who is kind enough to spearhead the idea, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah, Zach. Yeah, new Zach. Zach too.
And we had a good time. I was there for about an hour and a half. We were just chilling out, talking heresy. It was really cool. But as always, I'd like to thank all of our patrons, starting with our Legion Praetors, Alex Selth, Captain Sasquatch, Chap Lannisar, Chris Mack, Gardner.Tree of Woe, Joe from Music City Heresy, John Smith, Luke Rizzuto, Matthew Boyce, Michael Tisdall, Mr. Baldwick, Nick Quenga, Rena the Floof, Sar Luther, Taco Tuesday or Bus 22 Rock and Roll McDonald's, What's Ligma, and Zachary Thomason. Our Legion Centurions, Aaron Maynard, Andrew N., Dave Jones, Duncan, M. Tanzer, Gorecrow, Matthew Andrasio, Nick Hilda, Richard Bork, Scott LeMay, The Zoe, and Void Imperatrix. And finally, our Legion Sergeants, Agrippina, Aircraft Terrier, Bullfarius, Dale Jones, Emily O'Hare, Garrett Lowe, Jada Sales, Jonathan Crane, Carl, Nick Gillen, Noah Atkins, and Travis Smith. Once again, thank you all for becoming patrons. And if you want to support us, go over to patreon.com/RR30K podcast. All right, back to the show.
Huge esprit de corps. Thank you guys so much for being a part of us. I love it.
Yeah, it blows my mind every day.
Yeah.
All right, so
we are in vehicles now, folks. Yeah, which is weird because first off, here we go. Dreadnoughts, no longer vehicles. Get them out of the list then. What do they do with this?
It's a change to vehicles.
Dreadnoughts are no longer vehicles. They are monster. Okay, so first off, they're their own unit type, but they're very much like how monstrous creatures were. They now have a stat line. They are fearless, resistant to poison and fleshbane.
Yep. So,
but they do have a weakness to armorbane weapons.
Yeah, they're still susceptible to armorbane, and successful poison and fleshbane wounds have to be re-rolled.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Resistant, not impervious. So,
correct.
Yes. Good. There is still bio goo floating in the sarcophagus. So that makes sense.
Which I do find fleshbane is wounding on 2-ups. So that resistance to fleshbane, just don't roll a 1 on 2 rolls. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a very powerful resistance, which is a little bit surprising, but at the same time,
that 2-up armor.
I was about to say most fleshbane weapons themselves are very low on AP chart.
AP low, high. Or AP high. Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're very weak AP. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So that's huge change for dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts are game changers. They're like 6 wounds, toughness 7.
This is something I remember when I first started in this game, like 10 years ago. People would talk about, man, I wish they need to make dreadnoughts monstrous creatures.
It has been that way since forever, especially when, let's remember back to 7th, the Dread Knight was a monstrous creature, but the Dreadnought was a vehicle.
Right.
So it's always been a big thing like WTF, why? So I'm glad they've addressed it.
And to our new players, this precludes the chance of a one-shot las cannon just clipping you and rolling a 6.
Yeah.
At least for dreadnoughts.
What was it? I think for us, Jared and I once played a game. I had a Malkador. He had a dreadnought. He's getting ready to charge me, and I was saying, "No, mister. No, I'm not going to let that happen." And I thunder blitz him with the Malkador. I get 1 pin, and he explodes. And in all actuality, that dreadnought should have just RKO'd that Malkador and just smashed it to pieces, but RKO out of nowhere and just boom. But no, because it was a vehicle, you could pin it and get a lucky explode, and then boom, it's done. Or a mobilize result. Yeah, which was very painful. Yeah, especially if you were like the the Custo Dread, who had nothing but close combat weapons. You had a shield and a flamer and a sword, and then you get a mobilized turn 1, and you're like, "Come over here so I can stab you because I'm not going anywhere."
Get on over here.
Get on, come closer so I can stab you, you son of a bitch.
So much more survivable. I love bringing 2 Leviathans. That's kind of my support for Stone Gauntlet.
And you dare call me Whackcaster, you son of a bitch.
So how many times have I brought them? And, I'm not going first. And turn 1 Leviathan's dead.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
1 Leviathan's down to two hit points.
Well, now they'll end up probably tabling the whole board. So that being said, so dreadnoughts are, from what I've played and what I've seen, they're like super powerful in this particular edition, but I think part of that has to do with the fact that we're just not used to dealing with monstrous creature dreadnoughts.
You're going to see people bring in Melta, especially since they're weak to Armorbane.
Oh,
that has been said multiple times this edition. Yeah. Armorbane, you're going to see a lot more of it.
I'm currently building a 10-man plasma support squadron with my Mark 6. I feel... Yeah. Because, for like Contemptors, wounding on 4s, however, all those 4s are AP2. So then it automatically reverts to a 5-up save.
Oh, boy.
Rapid fire plasma weapons are still going to be really good.
You're right.
Special weapons and heavy weapons are going to be key to taking care of dreadnoughts.
So yeah, great. Dreadnoughts, huge, great change. We are all here for it, and we love it.
Yeah.
Stationary. This is a big change. So you may now fire all your weapons, including ordnance, at normal ballistic. Before, if you fired ordnance, everything else was snapshotting.
And this is vehicle rules.
Vehicles, yes. For vehicles, yes. Now, if you're stationary, you can fire everything at normal ballistic. So you don't have to worry about, I don't want to fire the demo cannon because then all my other cannons, even some that are blast, won't be able to shoot. None of that. That's all gone. Thank God.
Yeah. Makes it a little bit simpler. Mm-hmm. So vehicles that are in the assault phase are always counted as weapon skill 1, meaning they're always hit on a 2-up by anything with a weapon skill of 2 or higher.
Oh,
so no longer complete instant hits if they remain stationary. They still whiff on 1s.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, 1's always a failure, but hey, no more like, I moved it, so now it's... I guess what was it, a 3, right?
Yeah, you would have to bump your guy a little inch just to make sure that they... I think I can't remember. Models hit vehicles, I couldn't remember if they was default 4 or 3, but...
Right, but you still had to move, otherwise you were going to get auto-hitted.
So there's a blend of, pros and cons here. You no longer have to move to avoid getting instantly hit, but you can also get hit easier now, too.
Yeah. Combat speed, if a vehicle that has moved at no more than half its movement value may fire all weapons or 1 destroyer or ordnance weapon.
So there's fast vehicles.
Yeah.
Say the Saber, which I believe has a movement, I want to say 18 inches off the top of my head.
Right. So you can still move 9 inches
and just fires everything.
Okay. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen what the Kratos movement value is, but I'm guessing it's a 12. I'm hoping, or 10.
I have the Libre books here. I got the Libre books here right now.
Either way, the point is you're going to be able to still move it and fire everything, which is great.
Yeah. So Legion Kratos has a 10-inch movement.
Okay, so 5 inches, still firing everything. That's not bad.
Yeah, with all this weapons it's got.
Now, cruising speed. If a vehicle moves more than half its movement value, it may fire 1 weapon and no ordnance or destroyer weapons.
Okay.
So, if you want to move the full 10 inches, you can, but you're only going to fire one weapon,
Mhm.
and it's not going to be an ordnance or destroyer weapon, which I think is fine. That is...
Yeah, most outside of your like main like major weapons, like or artillery weapons, for the most part, don't have ordnance.
Right. And who is really, trying to fucking make their, Medusans sprint up the board 12 inches so they can... Nobody.
Yeah.
They have long-range guns. They're going to sit back. They might move half their speed,
Mhm.
in which case they can still fire their main guns. It's great. I love it. Excellent. And then we have the super fast boys, the flat outs.
Yeah,
Fast vehicles only. So this is going to be like Sicarans and the fast movers.
and sabers.
Yeah. May move twice, but can only snap fire with all weapons.
Which fast vehicles in general, my God.
That is like a
I'm sorry,
36-inch movement.
Yeah, a saber.
Ow.
So a saber's not 18; it's a movement of 16. That thing can go 32 inches and still just snapshot.
My God, you're not going to be able to keep up with these sons of bitches.
Mhm.
They're going to be doing circles around your Spartans. So you better watch out. You better have flanking support because there are some fast movers out here that are going to put a world of hurt on you.
Like I said, we're looking at this summary. I want to check cruising speed again because I know it says it may only fire one weapon, but I think it means only fire one weapon at full BS.
Yeah,
I still think you can
yeah.
fire all your other weapons at snap fire.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
Roll a dice. If a 1 is rolled, suffer cruise stunned result plus 1 whole point of damage. So yeah, going flat out, you're pushing your engines. Hitting a rock at that speed is going to send you flying. We all have seen what happens if you hit a speed bump and you're going like 10 over. You're going to destroy your bumper. You know what I mean? So that makes sense. Then, have you found that answer yet for the cruising speed?
Oh, I kind of made an assumption. I'll keep looking.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we're good for that assumption. And if we're wrong, listeners, tell us, and we'll ignore it.
Well, I'm going to find it now.
We are infallible. Next thing we have here as a change is tank shock and ramming. Now it's one action. Inflict D6 hits or 2d6 if it's a super heavy at half the front AV of the tank, 10 if it's a super heavy. Then the unit must take a morale check. If hitting a vehicle, resolve 1 hit and add 1 strength if you have more HP, hull points, than an opponent.
Mhm.
May only fire snapshots after ramming. So you can actually shoot after ramming now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Should not be able to.
yep, so you fire snapshots at cruising speed minus one weapon. One weapon can fire full BS and the snapshot everything. Also, for combat speed firing ordnance or destroyer weapons, you can still fire snapshots of all your other weapons as well.
Okay. Wait, for combat speed?
Yeah, combat speed, you may either
Here
fire...
it's listed if a vehicle that moves no more than half can fire all its weapons or ordnance. And then if you do choose to fire an ordnance, you can still snap fire all your other weapons, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
So tank shock and ramming, cool. I still think you'll see it about as often as you do now, which is very rarely. And it will be something that you have to reference quite often when it does happen because you'll never use it. So make sure you bookmark it in your rule books now.
As far as tank shock, they make it so much simpler now. Where there were like 3 or 4, well, maybe not 3 or 4, but like 2 or 3 different rules that gave you a +1 to your strength when determining tank shock. And I always had to refer back because I did it so rarely. But now you simply just add 1 strength if you have more hull points than your opponent.
It's good.
I'm assuming that's your current HP too.
Yeah, that's makes sense.
I'll
right?
have to double check that, but I feel like that makes more sense. Like if you're if you're a fresh tank hitting something that's already maybe a bigger tank but's taking a lot of hits.
That's already limping along, even though it might have been a Spartan with 6 hull points. I mean, they've already destroyed half its tracks. It really shouldn't have the same hitting power as you.
But anyway, that's me speculating. So sorry, I will rectify that.
We'll see. Defensive weapons. This is a thing Austin keeps gooing about because he runs militia with a lot of heavy bolters on all his stuff. And it is really as good as he says it is. All vehicles, weapons with strength 6 or below are defensive weapons and pintle-mounted weapons. The tank may always fire these at the closest enemy unit, even if the tank's other weapons engage in different targets. Anything else is a battle weapon. So all your battle weapons will have to be fired at the single unit. So your Kratos' main cannon fires at an enemy tactical squad that is on the other side of the table. All your heavy bolters that you have on, because they are lower than strength 6, can still independently fire at things that are closer. It is kind of a built-in split fire where you can split the vehicle's weapons based on weapon strength. So it's very neat. I like it a lot. You never feel like your shots are going to be wasted if you fired at your anti-tank cannon at something, because your heavy bolters won't be able to hurt that tank that's out there. But now, since they're defensive weapons, you can use them to fire at infantry that are nearby.
Which I really like. And for the Kratos is really cool because he's got autocannons everywhere. And ramming vehicles, it's starting hull points that determines the plus strength.
Okay, good. That's as we assumed. Very good.
And you get a +4 strength if you're slow or super heavy. Or for some reason, if you're a building. I don't know how you can ram a building, but
I guess get rammed, right? Yeah.
I'll have to read that. I'm a drink in. I'm a heavy drink in right now.
Yeah. I've already had 3 glasses of wine myself. So,
sweet. Let's keep rolling. Vehicle spawns and arcs.
Beer.
Vehicle spawns and arcs. Oh my God, they made this so much better.
Right. I mean, okay, so new guys. The way it was before is the way the angles of the guns could go is how much you got, pretty much. Like 45 degrees on the sides or something like that. Or in some cases, like knights, it was only the sides. Like there was no, like, they did not take the middle of the model into account.
Shoot directly in front of you.
Yeah. Right.
But now vehicle spawns and arcs, you basically draw a line down the center of the vehicle's hull from back to front. And that is, anything on the left side can be fired at with your left sponson. Anything on the right side, your right sponson. So ostensibly, if you are facing directly at an opponent in front of you, you could still hit it with both sponsons.
Exactly. Yep. Which is great. I know for my Spartan, that's going to be my anti-tank platform. It's going to have las cannon in the hull, multi-melta on top, las cannon sponsons, and just the idea of pointing it directly at something and being like, all right, all anti-tank into that. You know, it's great. Instead of being like, all right, well, this sponson, because you're a little too far over, it just takes away some of like the tedious.
Sometimes you'd work without your opponent. I guess I can hit you. What do you think?
Yeah, how often was that? Was like
too often.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. And I never like that because it's like I prefer to cut and dry, which
same.
One downside about blast markers, but don't tell Austin I said that.
Yeah. When ambiguity is gone, that's when it's great, right?
Yeah. For me personally, yeah.
Sponsons. If the target is outside the arc of the sponson, it can fire at another target. That is that is so good. Okay, so there used to have to be like special rules built into weapons, like what was it for the
Power of the Machine Spirit?
So there was Power of the Machine Spirit, but the Karachnos had like smart lightning guns where they were each independently or not tandem to each other, so they could each fire at their own targets.
Okay, like so that's some Mechanicum bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was a way for you to use your sponsons without having to be like, all right, well, only the right gun can see anything, so only the right gun's going to shoot.
Yeah.
But this is so good. Like, damn, dude. Damn.
It just works.
It does. Weapon destroyed. Owning player picks a battle weapon to be destroyed.
Oh, my goodness. Thank God.
Specify battle weapon. Your defensive weapons you can still be rocking. Which means if you roll a weapon destroyed result and you only have heavy bolters left, now you start selecting.
So weapon destroyed, weapons. It looks like, according to this, I'll verify in the rules, but it looks like you have to pick one of your battle weapons to be destroyed first.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're out of battle weapons, then defensive weapons. So no more putting on like silly little minor combi bolters and things just to.
Yeah. The 5-point hunter killer to save your main
Yeah.
gun.
Yep.
Jason,
I did it all the time too. I did it with my Arcus strike tank.
Yeah.
I mean, the main gun was so expensive with all the extra ammunition that a 5-point little save. Yeah,
to get an extra that much percentage chance of you not losing it. Yeah, absolutely.
Vehicle explode. Range is D6 inches, and all models within D6 take a strength 8 AP dash hit plus a pinning test.
Hot damn.
Yeah, strength 8, guys. You're going to be instant deathing Terminators and the like. You could instant death a Praetor if you wanted to.
That went from a minor inconvenience to oh shit.
Yes, explosions are
it was
dangerous now.
Strength 6, AP 4. Who cared? It wasn't strong enough to instant death me. It wasn't high enough AP to outright remove my save.
Your vehicle squadrons now are concerned.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, huh? Now you're blowing up your other tanks nearby.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're anywhere near D6 of that, you're taking a pinning test.
Your heroic bomb armed squads are they're gonna die.
Like I said, explosions are nasty now, and I'm all here for it.
It's almost like you're standing next to an exploding tank.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Rhinos used to have something like firing points. Firing points are gone. The firing points used to allow you to have like 2 models stand up in the back of it and shoot out.
And who remembered to do that?
Nobody.
No one, but I'm a little bummed.
The only time I ever remembered it is when I would have veterans and rhinos, and they would be able to fire their suspensor web missiles from the top.
Yeah.
That's the only time. And how often did it happen?
Never a clock.
When I first started playing and I used veterans, and then once you stop using veterans, you never use it again.
It always felt kind of awkward shooting stuff out of a rhino.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat, but at the same time also felt kind of cheap, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, it's just so many times you forget it.
Let me fire my big old conversion beamer out of the stationary rhino. But yeah, no more fire points.
Gone.
Yep.
Good. So we're moving on in now to a subcategory of vehicles, which is super heavy vehicles, Knights and Titans.
Yeah.
So general, the majority of rules have stayed the same, but may only make reactions against actions taken by other super heavy vehicle Titans and Knights with 8+ wounds. So you cannot make reactions against infantry charging you.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. But if a Knight tries to charge you, you can.
Yeah.
Great.
Which I felt like we had like earlier events we used to have, like which had like Knights and Titans and stuff. We made a house rule where they can only fight each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless there were no more left. Which I thought was kind of
was a fun rule because Titans had to fight Titans, Knights had to fight Knights, because we wanted like built-in jousts and Titan wars while still having infantry on the table.
Yeah, because it was no fun to just bring 1,500 points
the Titans are
and then just
filling out infantry.
Yeah, one volcano cannon, you're taking off your entire army. Thanks for playing.
Meanwhile,
I'll sit around here for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Your 2 warhounds are picking out the tacticals. Meanwhile, there's a warlord on the other end of the table, and you're just like, I don't care about it. I care more about the infantry right here.
Yeah.
Didn't make for us. It just didn't go with the novels or anything like that. So, I love that rule. Here's a rule I hated, and I'm glad it's gone. Thunderblitz. It was ramming and tank shock, but for super heavies. Just another layer of cumbersomeness that didn't need to be in there.
Destroyer ramming.
Yeah. It was ramming, but with like the plus strengths in its own table, where now it's just, if you're super heavy, you get +4. Excellent. Great.
And now if a super heavy explodes, D6 +6, and all models in range take strength 7 plus D3 AP4 hits and a pinning test.
Yeah. Nice. So it's still going to be strength 8, but it has potential to be strength 10. AP4. Again, Astartes aren't going to care.
You no longer
are going to care.
You no longer have to bring out that awkward 10-inch template.
Yeah.
And figure out, okay, did this guy get a D hit?
Yeah, you just measure D6 +6. I love it.
Simple, fast, deadly, excellent change.
Yeah, the excuse... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Your embarked units aren't just going to get deleted by taking D hits.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, a Mastodon goes up, and if anybody didn't disembark in time, wonk,
You're
wonk,
dead.
wonk. Yeah.
Or the what was the Stormlord? The one with the
Yes. Yeah. I think that was the Stormlord.
You took a strength 9 AP2 hit. It's like you're just vaporized.
Everybody in the Stormlord, fuck you.
Especially if you're an Auxilia player and you're like, I'm going to put all my guys in there because it's safe. And then it's like, no, you just put them in a tomb.
Yep. Exploding tomb.
Yeah. But I'm serious. Think about this. Strength 10, AP4 is Thalax. Bye-bye. Like, that's instant deathing Thalax. They don't get a save, and it's twice their strength, so feel no pain. Bye-bye, little boys.
Plus,
Get
this
dead.
encourages you to actually run your super heavy tanks into the fray.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Blow me up?
Like, that's... Yeah. What are
you going to do? I'm in your deployment zone, blowing up all your shit by killing myself.
I'm either going to shoot you and blow you up, or I'm going to be shot and blow you up.
Yeah, that could be a potential 12-inch range. That's a 24-inch bubble of just...
Yeah. And 24 inches does feel... it feels like a big explosion.
That's a nuke going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already a minimum 12-inch bubble. Well, I guess technically 13.
Yeah,
no,
D6
14,
plus 6.
14.
Yeah,
God,
14.
I'm such an idiot sometimes. Yeah, 14.
Numbers,
D6
man.
plus 6, 14 minimum.
And then
bubble.
we're getting to movement. So Knights and Titans may move over infantry and cavalry units, but must not finish movement within 1 inch of a model. That makes sense. They're stepping over them.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Excuse me, pardon me.
Assault Knights Titans are never locked in combat, and enemies may always move away or shoot at an engaged Knight or Titan. Knight Titans may never sweeping advance. I mean, makes sense.
Oh, wait. This means that there was that one mega battle where Jason blocked some Knight's charge with a Cyber Ocularis.
Yes.
He can't do that anymore.
No. You still can. I mean, he can't lock him in combat, but he can still impede his charge.
Can he? Huh?
Yeah.
May move over other.
And that's a movement, not assaults.
We got to look at the book because that could be big.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he blocked that entire Lancer with a single Cyber Ocularis who was in his way, and he's like, "You shall not pass!" And the Knight had to charge the Ocularis instead.
That guy was mildly salty.
Yeah. Well, that Titan also went on to stomp 2 Primarchs that game, so...
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. Speaking of stomp, here we go. Perfect segue. Knight and Titans resolve an additional 2 models. Usual attacks at initiative step 1 may make D3 plus base number of attacks at its unmodified weapon and strength with AP of 2. No more blast markers. Thank God. There's no more like, how many guys do I step on? No, just here, you get D3 plus your base number of attacks. Cannot be made against enemy super heavy vehicles, Knights, Titans, and any model with 8 or more wounds. So, I don't think you're going to be stomping Primarchs. Maybe. I don't know how many
you're going to miss with all those attacks.
You're right, because
But no, it's great in that you're not facing the overrun result, which was just removed from play.
No saves. That was terrible. That was terrible. Yeah, that's how the Primarchs got taken out.
Yeah. Just, I mean that was crazy. No, this feels, appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna do something, but it's not gonna just break the game.
Right, and blast markers being gone, I'm happy about that. For the stomps, anyways, because it always felt weird, and that was another rule people always had to reference. Like, how do I flip these markers? Yeah, am I allowed to stomp the same guys twice? Like, just take that all out. So yeah, that's vehicles. Those are some good changes from vehicles. Jesse, do we want to save this because we still have 2 more pages, and this is a lot more stuff that we can cover?
Yeah, we'll call this a part 2 here, and then
okay.
Yep. So, thanks, Will. It was good talking to you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, listeners, for hanging out with us tonight or the morning, whenever you're listening to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, I suppose.
We'll hit a part 2 real soon here in the future. But once again, thanks for listening. Check us out, Facebook, Instagram, RR30K Podcast, RR30K.com, Patreon.com/RR30K Podcast. Keep those dice rolling, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.